Hey YouTube, Aaron Ross here. Welcome to this week's video. This week we have a special little lens that we're going to be playing with. I had a gig yesterday where I rented the Fuji 10-24 f4. So this is not a lens that I normally have access to, so I figured while I have it, why not head out and see what we can get, see if we can play around with some things. So tonight I'm going out after dark to see if we can get some cool wide angle, long exposures, and just kind of play around and experiment. And figured I'd bring you along. Shot of the night. It might be a little noisy because we are over the highway, so I apologize if that is a little noisy. Hopefully you can hear me all right. But like I said, we are over the highway right downtown, so we have we're gonna hopefully get some of the light trails of the cars going by, as well as, I don't know if you can see that, but we have Sears Tower or Willis Tower back there. So that is kind of the subject of our image, kind of in the background, as well as the light trails from traffic going by. So right now I am at, let's see, f11 ISO 100 and a 10-second exposure, and this is what it looks like. All right, well, I have moved about 100 feet. Instead of the side of the highway, I am more center of the highway. There's an on-ramp kind of right in front of me with the cars coming at me. We're trying, again, just this wide shot. I'm shooting pretty much all of this at 10 millimeters, which is about 15 millimeters on a full frame. That is just not as wide as I normally have access to, so figured I'd give it a try. Now I want to be clear that this is not a review of this lens. This is literally the first time I've ever used it, and I only have it for the weekend. Like I said, I had it for an actual gig yesterday, doing some interior real estate photography. That was the main purpose, but figured that, hey, I have it for the weekend, why not experiment and get out here and use it. So this is definitely more of a just an experiment and not a review, but hopefully you're enjoying this so far. All right, I found a little spot under a bridge. Hopefully it's a little quieter and you can hear me a little bit better, except when there's cars like that. But what we have is I'll kind of show you what we have going here. We have this nice long tunnel and cars going through. I'm trying to snag a couple of these as they go by. But what I have right here, again, I'm still all the way at 10 millimeters. This time I am at f16, a 5-second exposure, and ISO 160. So again, trying a few of these, getting those light trails coming by, and we'll see how it works out. So one thing you do have to kind of look out for, pay attention to when you are using something this wide, is really the angles. You think that the straight lines are straight, but they are not. So got to pay attention to that, make sure things are level, make sure things are straight, or be intentional about kind of the warped nature of going this wide. But just something to look out for. Had two trains go by, set up here outside, kind of across the river from the merchandise mart, letting the trains go by, getting them in a long exposure. And the merchandise mart is actually reflecting off of a building across the river, so hopefully all three of those elements come together nicely. With this one we are at f13, ISO 160, and an 8-second exposure. And there's the cutest puppy behind me, by the way. Just learning to walk, like go on a walk. Like it knows how to walk, but like to go on a leash walk, it's the cutest. This one I did actually zoom in a little bit. I am not all the way at 10. I'd say I'm probably just under 16, so just a little bit wider than a 24. So it was just a little too wide, couldn't get kind of in close enough with that 10mm, but that's the beauty of this lens. You can have that with the zoom. A lot of the other lenses I use that you guys have seen me use are those primes, so that's not really an option. So far, I would say that this is working out. I'm enjoying getting some of these photos that, again, are different than what I'm able to get normally. We will see kind of once I get back to the office and get these on the computer, how they actually turn out. You guys have seen a lot of that before I have, but yeah, so far so good. I've moved locations just to the other side of the train. We are doing a similar shot, just a slightly different composure, where we're trying to put the train, the merchandise mart, and the reflection of the merchandise mart all on the same photo. And there's the train. So we will see how that one turned out. Nice. With the long exposure of the train, kind of just looks like this space rocket, kind of like whipping through the city, which and in this composition really kind of balances out the brightness of the merchandise mart on the other side of the frame. So yeah, I think I'm pretty pleased. So as I was beginning to make my way back to the car, found another composition where the train is reflecting in a building just a couple feet from it. So currently the camera is kind of perched up on the ledge here. It's a little bit hard to actually see the composition, but we're just waiting for another train to go by and see if we can make this happen. Not so sure about this one. I'm not sure the reflection is going to come out the way that I'm seeing it in my eye, just because it's a long exposure and you don't get those types of details. It just may look like a light of some sort, so we'll see.